I'm here to talk a little about women in the military and how they adjust to symptoms of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So, first off, what is post-traumatic stress disorder? Do you know the symptoms? Well, just to be brief, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is a reaction occurring after experiencing a highly stressful event. Example, wartime combat, physical violence, or natural disaster. This is usually characterized by depression, anxiety, flashbacks, recurrent nightmares, and avoidance of reminders of the event. How do you feel about women joining the Army? Emotionally, do you think women can handle all of what it takes to be in the Army? Do you know a woman who has been in the Army? Well, I do. A very successful woman at that. I attended a seminar once on PTSD and women in the Army. It was conducted by a woman veteran who is now a highly successful personal trainer. She enlisted and deployed and was in charge of a very vital position. She came home and is now mentally better off than others. What is her secret? Self-help and therapy. She went on to explain that women would keep their hair short, wear or makeup, and blend in with the men as much as possible. When in public, a woman rarely would admit or resemble the fact that she is in the Army. She herself stayed close to her family in writing. Her sisters in arms and are very close to resources of PTSD. When she went home, because of the loneliness and the avoidance of PTSD, she would have cookouts at her home. She would invite all the neighbors. The neighbors would come and eat with her and then leave. This did not make it any better. But she did not let it bother her because she stayed close to her family. Well, approximately 15% of active duty service members are women. 18% are National Guard and Reserves. 10% are in Iraq and Afghanistan combat veterans. 10% served in Iraq and Afghanistan theaters. So, what causes a woman to suffer from PTSD? Well, the biggest would be military sexual trauma. Female veterans who experience MST often find it difficult to seek help. Even with treatment, they can live with the symptoms of PTSD for years. Military sexual trauma happens when they're in combat. It could be against another woman or a male. Social and cultural issues of some people think that women in combat unit will hurt the morale. The men could not trust them. There were worries about romantic and sexual relationships developing, that a woman could become pregnant, and just to avoid combat. Therefore, sexual assault cases would rise. Allowing women on the front line could increase capture and result in severe sexual assault and molestation overseas. Opponents would say that women in the military, on the basis of strength and endurance required, actually requires more energy provided by food to the physical fitness which many women cannot handle. Such actions may result in becoming war prisoners. Politics are criticized for allowing unqualified women in higher ranks. So, what is being done to help these women face the obstacles? Policies change restricting women's combat duties, and since 1994, the current policy effectively restricts women from serving in small infantry or other ground units directly involved in combat. Women may not be assigned to any unit below brigade level when unit's primary mission is direct combat on the ground. Also, we have MST laws, military sexual trauma laws. Bills that were introduced to make it easier for veterans to receive treatment. The law would force the Veterans Affairs Department to accept a soldier's word that his disability is related to a sexual assault or rape in the military, bearing evidence clearly pointing to the contrary. Exploring the ideas of independent prosecutors for military sexual assault claims, making it impossible for military commanders to overturn or step in on military jury verdicts. Programs for tablets, computers, and smartphones can calm symptoms of PTSD. PTSD coaches. It helps self-assess symptoms, gives step-by-step instructions in muscle relaxation, breathing, and helps users create a phone list of people to call when they need support, and helps vets contact the National Suicide Prevention Hotline in an emergency. This is very important. There's also an app for healthcare providers that includes definitions, causes, and severity ranges from mild traumatic brain injury or concussion, suffered by so many troops from roadside bombs and other explosions. So, now that we have went over how women develop PTSD, in some ways help them cope and recover, let's sum up how the war affects women and how the recovery process is strengthened. Women need to seek help before and after the military. Remaining in a calm state of mind and mentally being able to adapt will strengthen the weaker symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. Allowing friends and family to participate in their lives can reduce the feeling of loneliness and isolation, as I said before whenever the lady came to the seminar. Take advantage of the Veterans Association PTSD programs offered. That is very important also. Accept women of the war and their responsibilities as a whole. The public needs to step in, accept, and help these women. Proper recognition can strengthen persona in a female, especially if they value their job, if that's what they wanted to do their whole life. We should accept that. We should not shun them. They are protecting our country, and they deserve to be there. So, the number of women in combat increased daily, yearly, and monthly, as I said. Women suffer from PTSD for the many reasons of military sexual trauma, lack of trust, and sexism. Programs that are offered via Veterans Association and the technology can increase a woman's rate of recovery and survival during and after Army acceptance. Women have every right to serve and protect the country. They also have the right to be served and protected themselves. Here we go on to talk about and go in extent of the programs that are offered for military veterans. Go ahead, Brad. Thanks.